All right, so next session, Amplifying Business Value with AI, buzzword, through a commercial omnichannel ecosystem. Who we have today here? We have Jonny from Aktana. Jonny, how do you like it so far?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I saw a great quote in the lift from George Bernard Shaw saying, if you want to find paradise on earth, come to Dubrovnik, and I totally agree with that.
Fantastic. And we have Erasmus from MSD, Denmark, the safe spot in the Nordics currently, since you're part of NATO, right?
I haven't thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah, just kidding, of course. And let's kick off the conversation with the first question we should prepare during our preparation call, which is, what is the ultimate business value, or even call it purpose, of the whole omnichannel strategy and ecosystem?
Jonny. Sure, I can start, absolutely. Yeah, so I'll start with a definition that's similar to Samir's, in that omnichannel sort of, and what we're trying to do with omnichannel is engage with customers through all of the current channels that a company might use, using the same connected strategy, essentially. So what we're aiming to get out of that is the conversation with a customer should be that continuous conversation, as Samir was referencing, that's always relevant, always tailored to the HCP's preference and their needs. Essentially what you get out of that is just an enhanced customer experience. So people have touched on that a lot throughout today. It's all going to be about customer experience. And omnichannel, done right, it enhances that customer experience at every single touch point along the HCP journey. And the myriad benefits of doing that, consistently improving customer experience, HCP experience with brands and products, and connected through R&D, medical and commercial. You're obviously looking at loyalty, you're looking at retention, you're looking at fast people, moving customers through campaigns more quickly, and everything that comes with that. It's obviously really difficult to do. So it's easy to say, but then there are elements of optimization that need to happen. You've got that sort of long-term optimization around strategy, content, whatever it might be, that's often done in-house or by consulting. And then you've got that real-time optimization that needs to happen and on what's that HCP actually doing, how are they engaging with your content, how do they prefer to be engaged with, where are they, things like that. The balance between those two is absolutely crucial. And the power of AI within, on omnichannel, I see that as the enabler of omnichannel and making that successful, because it's just not possible for humans to bring all the insights out of all of that incredible amount of data at a quick enough pace to act on it through commercial teams or medical teams. So AI really is the enabler for that omnichannel to work correctly, because of the amounts of data that we're talking about.
Thanks a lot. And are we close to that state, like you explained currently?
I personally don't. I don't think so. I think we're scratching the surface of the potential of the omnichannel ecosystem and connectivity between all of the different elements, from, let's say, internal, external data curation, data integration, strategic planning, omnichannel execution, and say intelligence, and then systems integration. I don't think all of those. And if we asked the audience, I'm not sure everyone would say we have everything connected. All of our vendors connect seamlessly together right now. It just doesn't. It's not the case. So I think the vision is getting to that. It's a long way down the line, but I think we're kind of on the path to achieving that. But I'd say a lot of potential in the future for this type of technology. And I think someone mentioned it earlier, just around the connectivity, talking to each other, partnering. Is just going to be absolutely crucial in this new era of medicine.
Thank you, Jonny. Erasmus, same question to you, and listening to Jonny, what makes you think about the current omnichannel strategy?
No, I agree with most of what you're saying. I don't think it's the enabler, AI. I think it's one enabler. Yeah. That's the difference maybe I would take on it. I think the change management for us in the industry and in pharma is much bigger challenge. I think that AI can also, as you said, the best buzzword as well, I think it can be a distraction, but I think it is the future as well. So how do you balance those two things out? How do you balance that you need to change your organization and people and the way you work, at the same time not being distracted by potentially something that's super cool and sounds very interesting, but can maybe, if you don't have the fundamentals of omnichannel, some years ago we couldn't even send an email in MSD ourselves. And then I don't want to go and implement a chatbot, right? Because then everything just falls apart. So I agree on you have to reduce the friction. And our human interaction can't be there all the time. And I think AI can be a great enabler in that, removing those kind of frictions that our customers have in many areas, and help us also guide some decisions.
Certainly, certainly. Thank you, Erasmus. Next question. What are the main obstacles, which we certainly should be highlighted here today, when we encounter how to build out the commercial software ecosystem? Because that's certainly a challenge. I mean, you know it very well. Very interesting example, GDPR. I mean, how many GDPR databases do you have? And they are absolutely not connected at all, right? So, Erasmus, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah. So there's many challenges. I think I'll have a session tomorrow where I also speak that digital transformation is only 20% digital, is 80% transformation. So it's the change management again of people. It's also the compliance. It's the data quality you have. It's the are you really customer focused? That's also if you are implementing it for sales reps and others. It's also the bonus scheme and how you are organized. But there's a lot of things in order to get adoption of any kind of investment.
Thank you, Erasmus. Jonny?
Yeah, totally agree. I think I'd break it down into 3 areas that we see across our customers. One of the main ones being the people, sort of the element where we're talking about alignment across stakeholders, across teams, across our medical, commercial. That's one of the main things really, because the technology, as you say, can be absolutely fantastic. But if you don't have that buy-in, you don't have that engagement across the organisation, then it's just going to go absolutely nowhere. So I totally agree with that. And the other couple of things that I would say that we see across our customer base are around data. So there's a perception of data being a challenge, and the other one is around sort of the cost and resource associated with implementing an omni-channel solution, essentially. So the first one, talking about data, and I say it's a perception because often what we find if we go through a sort of data readiness assessment, you find really valuable data that can be mined to start tackling your business problems immediately this year, for example. But often people get lost in the bigger picture of we need to get all of our data completely sorted out, completely clean, and it needs to be this sort of bigger challenge, which is often a 12 to 18 month project. But when you actually delve into it and look at the data that companies do have, you look at they actually have this really rich data sets, and then if you're matching that data to the business problems that you're trying to solve in the next year, next 3 years, you can quite easily start somewhere. Let's say it's CRM interaction data on webinars or something like that, and you just start there with a simple use case, really narrow, a small team working really sort of in an agile way and iterating on that product that you're creating, proof of concept, and then after that you can start looking to roll it out. That doesn't have to cost that much, actually. And in terms of the resource, you don't actually have to put a huge amount of resource into it. So those sort of data and the cost of resource, they're perceptions. And I think there's something that if you look deeper into it and look across your data that you do have, you can start addressing some of the key problems that you're seeing.
Speaking about data, I wonder, I mean, in the last 2 years, we generated a huge amount of data, obviously, right? Are we using that data in the proper way? And is this actually the perfect playground for a proper AI implementation?
Well, short, no. We're not using it enough. At least I can only speak for myself and the teams that I'm part of. But no, I think, again, we also often, to your point, actually an interesting point about how we're using the data we just have. And you come to a pharma company and they're probably searching for so many other data sources, and we try to probably make another dashboard next month. But are we even just the fundamental data that we have? Are we even using that properly? And I think it's also about us. A lot of our people doesn't really know how to use it. So they look at it and they think the data or the AI will help them to a decision. Where right now we're not there. We're there where we can at best get some support, but you have to for decision. And I say to my teams, you have to have curiosity around data before you can even get to the next point. Just be curious about data. And what I see in a lot of the teams with us is that they are hyper-focused on the data in the operational teams, so like click rates, open rates, and stuff like that. But then when I ask them, well, what is the business focus? What's your business objective? Did you have data to support that? Like, no, it was just a gut feeling, like, you need to grow 20%. Like, why 20%? What was the data? Just have the curiosity up there as well and look for the data there. That will take you a long way. And I think AI has a play there as well in the long run.
So good to know Pharma needs more data. Remember that. Jonny?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The data that's currently there is not being used. There is a lot. And there's the longer term plan of data, looking at omni-channel solution for the next, let's say, 5-year plan, 3-year plan. clearly you need to start with a smart foundation around data. Look at the things that your business problems you're trying to solve. What data sources, data sets are going to help you solve those. Start investing in those now, but at the same time, identify what you do have that works. As to my previous point, because often you will have data that is really valuable, and then it's about translating that into a usable format, setting metrics and KPIs around what you want that data to actually do. And then start off on a project, then start measuring it, and then you can see the value come through. Once you've proved it with a specific use case that is going to do whatever, increase your click-through rate by 30% or something, and you can say, okay, well let's apply it to another data source, and then build it like that. And it's really just building blocks on building that foundation out for the future, really.
So where actually to start what's the starting point when we speak about implementing or amplifying AI into the omnichannel strategy? I mean, maybe some key takeaway for the audience. When they return home, which software should I install or what should I do first? So what is the concrete takeaway? Yeah, or generate more data?
Which software should they install? Aktana.
Of course.
Maybe the wrong question.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's pretty important to go back to what should this software do? What should your omnichannel solution actually do? And the most important thing is that it helps you to improve your ability to solve your business problems. So if it's not doing that, then it's not worth investing in. You potentially need to rethink it. Once you've identified that as the obvious main goal, it's then about breaking it down into different elements of how you invest in that sort of wider industry ecosystem. Things that I mentioned earlier are around identifying your current business problems. Then you can look at core competencies of vendors in each of the different sort of buckets within the omnichannel ecosystem, and match up what is going to actually answer your specific business problem and going to start helping you out immediately. Looking beyond that roadmap, though, to the future to say how are they thinking about their specific area, how they connect within the wider ecosystem. Do they enable seamless connectivity? All that kind of stuff that's going to enable sort of future, more complex business problem solving, I think is probably the best way to put it. And then the second part is what I've mentioned in the previous question, is building that smart foundation. There's often the low-hanging fruit that we've talked about, but start building now for the future, and invest in data platforms that are going to keep your data in the best possible way, keep it up to date, CRM systems, everything else that's going to keep all of your interaction data in a usable format, so you don't then have to go, right, we need to do a six month data cleanup before you start another project. And then finally, it's really evaluating the ecosystem with the future in mind. So having a pragmatic plan in the short term that's going to start to help you achieve solve your business problems that you're focused on in the immediate short term. But then looking at the vision beyond that, say what's going to happen in 5 years' time. The technology is just going to advance so quickly that we're going to very quickly be able to solve much more complex problems that you have no idea how to do that right now. But that will come in time. So have a vision of the things that you would want to ideally solve for your company, for your customers, for your patients. And by doing that, you can bring it all together and just improve across R&D, commercial, medical, and the outcome for the patient is going to be better because you've got that sort of seamless coordination across all the elements of the ecosystem.
Erasmus, starting point?
Yeah, I think it's how mature are you? How mature are you as a business? Do you have the right organization set up? What about the system you have currently? Are you using them to the fullest? Or is that your strategy for using that? Because I can definitely see teams that has ran too fast into new exciting solutions, but I've also seen some that maybe move a little bit too slow. And sometimes you can throw something at them and there will be organizational catalyst as well, just the implementing of a tool. But it's important to understand where you are. Do you have your fundamentals in place? Can you do the fundamental interactions with your customers fairly frictionless? What about your people? Do you have the organization to also adopt this as well? When I started about 3.5 years ago from outside, I came from software. We did some training with the sales reps, and the first training, 2 of them didn't know what the space bar was on the laptop. And I was like, I'm maybe not going to put an AI solution right towards them tomorrow. So there are some different things that also I feel that needs to be in place before you jump into this. But there's definitely some companies that should do it also as a catalyst.
Certainly. Did they learn at the end where the space button is?
I think 2 of them did, yes. Okay. Yeah. Maybe 1 of them.
Okay, fantastic. Last question. What role do you see AI and machine learning, as also a very hyped term, is playing within the omnichannel strategy, both now and for the upcoming future?
Won't you explain what the difference is between AI and machine learning?
Well, that's a good question, but there is a difference.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. I mean, machine learning, the process, right? The brain behind AI. And I mean, what I see, we at Next, what we certainly see is that a very simple software, everyone says, you know, it's AI powered. But it's not a neural network, and it isn't AI at all. It isn't a proper AI. So I would say that proper AI always comes with a proper machine learning, because the machine should learn, improve, and it's a continuous actually learning curve, right? So this is, for my understanding, how we see AI and machine learning.
And I can start maybe, at least for us in the Nordics and Baltics, the future there lies partnering. We don't have the internal capabilities to do that ourselves, to be quite honest. If we want to create something that's really meaningful for the customers, we need to partner up. And we're doing it right now with Microsoft, actually, on several projects, to create something with the customers, with hospitals, where you look at AI that can look through medical journals to simply find early-stage lung cancer patients easier. And that's a good business case. It takes just a long time, of course, the compliance issue with that, but we cannot, all that data that you also need to own, there's so many compliance aspects of that is too difficult for us. We have a play in understanding our customers, and we have some value to add there, and with all the new resources and people we got in as well in the company, we have a better chance of partnering with companies like that. But for me, going very advanced and those kind of solutions needs to be with a partner for us, at least in the Nordics.
And is that a Denmark case, or is that
it's a Nordic case?
It's a Nordic case. Yeah. And are data varying from country to country or not?
No, it's at the moment it's a Swedish case that we're trying to build out, and we had already done it within a vaccines partnership with Microsoft there, where we actually do a Minecraft solution. It's nothing to do with AI, but the next step is to do something around oncology and AI.
Thank you, Erasmus. Jonny?
Yeah, totally agree again. I think now we're looking at machine learning, artificial intelligence engines helping to solve sort of really quite specific business problems. But as I said earlier, I think we're scratching the surface of the potential of that, because the value of the ecosystem over the long term is that you start amplifying each element of the ecosystem. So if you have really good internal Excel data, it's really clean, you've got great data integration, and you've got each sort of element absolutely sorted out on, let's say, the execution piece, the strategy piece, the intelligence side of it. That starts then to amplify as you build these connections and the systems work together. I think that's where in the future you're going to see the ability to solve the much bigger problems that the business, your stretch goals and your vision of how you want to be in 5-10 years. That's the kind of thing that a really well-rounded omnichannel ecosystem, whether it's powered or not by machine learning, however we speak about it, it's all connected. And the only way one of the ways to do that is through the advancement of machine learning technology and AI algorithms that help that. I think another point is around explainability. So one thing, I think what we've seen over the last few years is, and it's potentially a slight barrier to adoption, is just around the ability to explain the output of an artificial intelligence engine, for example. So for our customers, explainability is really key, and because that builds trust in the system. It then becomes, you increase adoption, increase trust out there, and obviously you've then got that drive across the organisation, and it helps with alignment and all that kind of stuff. So there's a load of enablement that will probably happen through that. And then, finally, I think just solving those, I guess, the ability to solve bigger problems and start focusing on more complex problems as we build these solutions out is probably the key.
Thank you, Jonny. Questions from the audience? Let's start with the first one. Okay, no questions. Good, so then, gentlemen, Erasmus, Jonny, it was a great pleasure, great conversation, and looking for the next one.
Thank you so much.
Is it too late?
Thanks, guys.